The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. It is time for Football at 4. And Football at 4, we're going to start with a philosophy question. Right? Like it's college, you're used to 300 people lecture halls, and then you get the philosophy class with like 12 people and you sit in a circle, Indian crisscross applesauce on the floor.
And then after a week, it's down to 6, and so many people are like, philosophy.
And then the teacher is like, let's go sit under a tree for today's class. ESPN put out a list of the top draft needs for each NFL team. Obviously, the Panthers were on that list. The philosophical question is, would it have been easier to list the positions that they don't need rather than listing the ones that they do? They put out a top 3 needs. I went, that is just the beginning. That is the preamble. That the top 3 needs for, and by the way, top 3 for 10 teams in the league is too few. For the Panthers, it's way fewer. They put their top 3 needs, the Panthers, right? This is top 3 draft needs. Outside linebacker, wide receiver, and center.
Wide receiver, yes.
I put together my own list, but I call these just their drastic draft needs, right? Because I think they're borderline, other than quarterback, there's not really a position I would be like, they don't need any help there. But these are my drastic draft needs for the Panthers. Outside linebacker, wide receiver, center, corner, safety, tight end, running back, and defensive end. And some of those categories, I think they drastically need multiple guys. That's a problem, okay? That's a problem. And you know how it gets worse? They traded away Brian Burns for draft capital, and I know some of it is in the future, but they traded Brian Burns away for draft capital. They still only have 7 picks. They have no first-rounders. They have 4 picks in the first 4 rounds, 2 of them being seconds. They have 7 picks, 8 positions of drastic need, a few others that I wouldn't call drastic, but they're still needs, and then a few of those drastic needs, you need multiple players. And free agency has kind of been coming and going, and they haven't exactly filled a lot of them. So the philosophical question is, do you draft players to fill those needs, or do you draft best player available and literally start as if, you have so many holes that it just turns your entire roster into a hole? You have so many gaps in your roster that, filling them is almost a moot effort. I genuinely think this team does not have, outside of quarterback, does not have a position that if they drafted a player, I would be upset with. If they told me 3rd round pick, we took a guard, and they just spent $153 million over the next 4 and 5 years on 2 massive guard contracts, guess what I would say? That's fine. If they said he was the best player available on our board by a long shot, and we just are in the business of bringing talent onto our roster of any kind. So, yeah, we have our 2 starting guards, but we think this guy is a starting caliber guard in the NFL right now. I'm fine with it. They can't pass up value. And then it's a flex by Dan Morgan, right? Then he's saying, listen, here's what's going to happen. He's going to play really well in the preseason, right? He's going to look good every time he's on tape. If there's an injury to one of those 2 guys ahead of him, he's going to play well. And then we have a trade chip. And then I'm going to turn that 3rd round pick into a 2nd round pick. And if that means that for this year we don't get the most value out of that pick, guess what? And he's not going to say this, but he's going to say it in his actions. We're not winning the Super Bowl this year anyway.
Yeah.
Like I'm big on every single NFL team having one goal. That goal is to win the Super Bowl. Right? There was just actually, I don't know why I was watching this. Something on social media popped up, and it was about a guy that won the Powerball like a couple years ago. He won, I don't know, $2 billion, something ridiculous. And in the video I watched, it said it was like He 1 out of 320 million, billion, trillion, whatever the odds were, right? Every NFL team is 1 out of 32. Now, obviously, the worse you are, the longer your odds get. But there's only 32 teams. This isn't winning the lottery. 1 out of 32. Your goal should be to win a Super Bowl. Your goal shouldn't be like, well, we want to stop being embarrassed. Well, really? Like, hey, like there are baseball teams that are like, as long as we're finishing above 500 every year, we're good. Some might even think in baseball finishing above 500 is a pipe dream, right? Pirates. Like there's certain teams that I hate that. And if you can't win the Super Bowl this year, right, and you have to be honest with yourself, look at your roster and go, are we a legitimate contender? If you can't win a Super Bowl this year, can you win it the next year? Can you kick some of the value from this year into next year? Can you, they have the 33rd overall pick. We've talked extensively, and we will continue to talk extensively about what they can do with that 33rd pick. If you told me you could get 2 second-rounders next year for that 33rd from a team that you think is going to be bad, right, and they got to pick from somewhere else, like if you think they're going to be 2 top half of the second round, you have to take that deal. Because then you're like, well, the following year we might be closer to winning a Super Bowl, and this year we're not doing it. You can put together a list of this is what it is, right? I'll use the legendary analogy of building a football team, right? I believe it was Bill Parcells. You can't ask me to cook the dinner if you don't let me buy the groceries. We'll talk about cooking dinner, right? We'll talk about cooking dinner. So here you go. You're trying to make the Panthers are trying to make. What's your favorite meal, Graham?
Hibachi chicken.
Hibachi chicken. Goodness gracious, I have no idea what's on there. So let's go with spaghetti and meatballs.
Okay.
You went with hibachi chicken. Do you know how to make hibachi chicken, or is that like what you order?
No comment.
You went with something from like you had to spend 4 years at the Cordon Bleu Culinary Institute.
I mean, chicken, vegetables, rice,
okay,
zucchini.
all right, fine. Chicken, vegetables, rice, zucchini. Perfect. We'll go with hibachi chicken. I'm making hibachi chicken. You're going out to the store, and I'm like, hey, I need you to pick up a couple ingredients. They're like, great, what do you have? Well, I don't have the chicken. I don't have the rice. I don't have the vegetables. I don't have the zucchini. You're like, you're not cooking hibachi chicken. You could cook anything, right? Like you could cook any meal in the world. Just tell me what you want me to go get. I'm going to the grocery store. You could cook steak. You could cook spaghetti and meatballs. You could cook pizza, right? Because you don't even have the semblance of it. That's closer to where the Panthers are than me telling him to go to the store and just going, I need you to pick up a zucchini. I thought I had one and I don't. That's the move. That's the problem. They're so far away that they don't even know what they need. ESPN tried to say you need a linebacker, a wide receiver, and a center. They don't even know they need that because they're so far away, they don't know what they're building. Best player available. If it happens to be a position of need, you thank your lucky stars. But best player available. I should get it like put on a poster somewhere. BPA, best player available. Oh, but we have Jadeveon Clowney at defensive end. So? If the best player available is a defensive end, you take him. Oh, I still think J.C. Horn is good enough to be a number one cornerback. So? If the best player available is a corner, you take the corner. There is no such thing as a position of need when everything is of need. Aside from quarterback, because that's a different beast.